Hi everyone, I'm going to show you a super quick and super easy way to make yourself a loaf of beautiful fresh soda bread. So in here we have 250 grams of all-purpose flour. To that I'm going to add 250 grams of whole grain flour. This is spelt that I'm adding in. Really simple. Then I'm going to add some baking soda and I'm going to add some salt. And that's it. That's what's going in. We're going to use a fork just to combine everybody together. We want these ingredients to be evenly dispersed. And we also, soda bread is really a bit of a blank canvas. You can flavor it with a bunch of beautiful things, any bits of fresh herbs, leftover bits of roasted potatoes or other vegetables would be beautiful in here. So today, I actually have a bit of scallions that we're just kicking around in the fridge. So I'm going to add the scallions to the dry mix because it's going to be much easier to mix them in this way than it will be to knead them into the dough, right? And you run the risk of then overworking the dough. And this is just enough so each bite of bread gets a little bit of that beautiful scallion magic. And so at this point, we're going to make a well in the center. Let me get this lined up here for you. A well in the center, and then I've got buttermilk that I'm going to add right here. Buttermilk, you can buy buttermilk specifically. Essentially, it's a soured milk, and it's thicker, and it adds a nice richness to something like soda bread or biscuits, things like that. But if you don't have it, never fear. You can use milk with a spoon or a tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar. That will sour the milk. You pop that in and just let it sit for about 15 minutes, and you'll see the fats will start to separate and it'll look a little sort of sour and nasty, and that's exactly what you want. Alternatively, you can thin down some yogurt, right? You want something pourable. You can see that. So if you have yogurt, thin it down, and that's good to go too. So don't have to buy the buttermilk. You likely can hack some version of it from what's already in your fridge. So the recipe calls for 400 mils, but we're going to go easy and just use a fork initially to start bringing it together. And when you do something like this, start from the center and make small circles to incorporate, and then you can widen your scope to include everything, right? So we'll watch this all happen. Let's pour about half of it in. And then I'm just going to work in the bit, and I've got little circles. It's really easy, really gentle. Feels really nice. The starting of something amazing is happening. And you'll see it's starting to really pull together, right? And now I can sort of incorporate some of the outside stuff in. And if you sort of scoop around with one hand and turn the bowl with the other, you can get a nice even spread. And that is important so that you incorporate all of the bits, right? You don't want a sort of floury bit. Let's do another half of what's left. Right, we're not going to go full force. There's still some left in the jug. And we're going to keep mixing. Now, you can do this with a fork. If you're into it, man, you can get right in there with your hands. I think maybe while you're studying for exams and feeling really stressed out, this is a beautiful thing for you to do for 15 minutes just to sort of take your mind off of it. And then it bakes for only half an hour, which is amazing because then half an hour later, you got time for another break because you got to eat it warm right out of the fridge. That's just sort of a fool's game to think of anything else. So I'm going to transfer to using my hands now because I really want to feel this dough and feel how moist it is. So you can see it is really starting to come together. I'm giving sort of little squeezes. You don't want to get too aggressive because we don't really want to, you don't want to toughen this up, right? When you aggressively knead, sometimes you can overactivate gluten and make things tough. And that's not the vibe of this soda bread. This is an Irish origin thing. Okay, so just take a look here. I'll stop talking for you to see. This is what we call a raggedy dough. And you can see the raggedy bits hanging off of my fingers. So I'm going to add just a touch more of this liquid. Not a lot, because you can see this is coming together really nicely. I just needed a bit of liquid to grab that stuff at the bottom of the bowl. So there it is. I mean, really, it's a beautiful thing. And look at how quickly that came together. This is a matter of minutes, really. Right? And I've got this lovely ball. And you want to sort of get all the bits off of your fingers. Okay. So, just really roughly shape it nicely into a ball. And look at that beauty of a thing. So the only thing left is we're going to put it on a baking sheet. Let me do a little transfer here so you can see what I'm doing. And I've got a really sharp knife. So on the baking sheet, and we're going to flatten this beauty because loaves of soda bread are flat. And you want an even layer so it bakes at the same rate. If you have a big bump, it won't bake evenly, right? So this is your vibe. And then you are going to, oops, you probably wash your hands first before you do this. But what we're going to do is cut a big cross in the center. And we want to cut it pretty deep. There we go. And this is another thing you could do potentially is sprinkle some salt on top of here. But this is it, right? This bread's done. This is good to go. I'm going to put it into a preheated 390 degree, not quite 400 degree oven for half an hour. And a magical loaf is going to return. So off this goes to the oven and we'll be back to show you the finished product. Okay, look at this beauty that has just come out of the oven. You can see what happened here in that big slit gave us these big four gorgeous big sort of lumps. And because I'm super impatient, I am going to show you the inside. It's super hot, but you know a loaf of bread is done when you hear that beautiful, you have that nice crust. Woo, just burned myself. You got a nice crust and give it a tap to hear that hollowness, and then the beauty shows up right here. Look at that. Look at that gorgeous steamy inside, all scalliony. It's cooked all the way through, and it is crying out for a slather of fresh butter or something wonderful like that. Soda bread, start to finish, 45 minutes, right? Tops. We brought the dough together really quickly. This beautiful thing has baked off. You can go back to studying, come back, and then be met with this beautiful thing. A hunk of this with a really simple soup will make a beautiful and satisfying dinner. So make yourself some soda bread, friends. You're going to be super, super delighted that you did. There it is, easy scallion soda bread.